All right, we finally did it. I finished the Libation Bearers after maybe it's been a month at this point. But yeah, I finally finished it yesterday. I read half of it in one day. So you can get through these pretty quickly if you just dedicate some time to them. Also, what do you think about the outfit today? I'm fully embracing being back home, wearing middle school clothes. I think this is going to be my philosopher outfit now. Whenever you see me wearing the Duck Dynasty pajamas, just know there's going to be some pearls of wisdom being thrown your way. Alright, so we left off in the last video with the beginning of the dirge, or the chanting ritual that Electra, Orestes, and the chorus were performing to kind of wake the spirit of Agamemnon, to help them win back the throne of Argos. And I'm a little bit fuzzy on the details of this chant because it felt a little bit repetitive, in the sense that I think the whole thing could just be summed up with them, basically pleading for Agamemnon's help, and telling him what would happen if he didn't help, how no one would be able to, or no one would remember him as highly, and things like that. There was a point in which Orestes actually said he wished Agamemnon had died at Troy, so that his memory would be cherished in a way that it's not now. It's so distracting doing this outside. Basically, they have this ritual where they're all, beating their chest and trying to get Agamemnon to help them. That's what I got out of the dirge. And yeah, following that ritual, they kind of transition into their plan, because the leader of the chorus basically commends Orestes for visiting Agamemnon's grave, which has never been visited before, mourning him when he's never been mourned before, because he was the subject of treachery. And then the chorus leader says that now it's time, basically, to put yourself toward action. So that's how they kind of transition from this funeral ritual, to actually setting things into motion. And Orestes comes up with this plan wherein he would pose as a traveler bringing news of Orestes' death. And once he gets the chance, as we saw in the Odyssey, it's customary for these important houses, highborn families, to accept guests into their home and treat them with food and shelter, basically. So his plan is to basically do that, to kind of come as a suppliant, as they're kind of described in these books. And the second he sees Aegisthus, he's going to stab him, basically, is the whole idea. So he tells Electra basically just to be quiet, as well as the rest of the chorus, and not to say anything unless it's something that will help them. And I'm not entirely sure what the role of Pylades, Orestes' friend, was. Yeah, I'm not. I gotta reread some of this, but anyway, before they actually go off on their plan, Orestes, because he doesn't know at this point about her nightmare. Maybe he heard the chorus in the beginning of the play talk about the fact that she had a nightmare, but he asks why she's sending libations now that Agamemnon has been dead for 3 years or something. And he asks for details, basically. And so the chorus leader explains that she had a nightmare where she gave birth to a snake, and as she was like breastfeeding the snake, it was like blood that was coming out, which she took as an omen. Basically, this is a metaphor for Orestes being the snake. And he realizes this, hearing about the nightmare from the chorus leader, and he prays that he realizes and accepts his role as the snake, and basically prays that he'll be able to kill his mother. So then they kind of head off on with their plan, and the chorus kind of goes on for a little bit, and they talk about other examples of where families have killed themselves, basically. So the first one that was mentioned was Althea. I don't remember exactly how to say the name. Althea, maybe? And the other one was Scylla. Different Scylla than the Odyssey. I'm just gonna say Althea because I don't know her actual name. I think it was something like that. But she killed her son because she was upset about the death of one of her brothers, and so she ended up burning a log whose and the log was the object of immortality or life for her son. Like his life was magically tied to this log, I guess, and she burned it and he died. And so this is looked at as maybe a, I don't know, a warning myth in Greek legend, which is why it's being brought up here. And then the other person, Scylla, she killed her father. Her father's name was Nisos, and they were being besieged by this guy from Crete named Minos, I think. And in Aeschylus's play, he wants the father dead, so he bribes the daughter Scylla with like a golden necklace or some fancy piece of jewelry. She bribes him with that so that she'll cut a lock from her father's hair, and this lock of hair also is a source of magic immortality for the father, so that kills him. Basically, she does that. She takes the bribe and kills him. And so this also is a tragic story that's frowned upon in Greek myth. I'm sweating. Jesus. The knees are coming out. So, where are we now? So we learn of some similar stories that have happened. The chorus also mentions Lemnos, which I guess is this city or maybe a family where all of the married women slaughtered their husbands or something like that. So we're given 3 other examples of this kind of like family treachery. And then we cut to Orestes actually being at the palace, his mother's palace. And he does exactly what he says. He kind of knocks on the door, and I think a slave answers the door or something. Basically, he introduces himself as like a traveler, says he has news he has to bring to Clytemnestra. So then Clytemnestra shows up, and he tells her that he's a traveler. He walked past somebody in his travels who urged him to bring this news to Clytemnestra, that Orestes had died. And Clytemnestra kind of pretends to be sad about this, and Orestes says he wished he could bring better news, but Clytemnestra's mother, who she doesn't realize that this is her son that she's talking to. She says that it's okay, he's bringing bad news. Basically, she'll treat him the same anyway as any other suppliant, and she takes him in to the palace and promises to give him, shelter and food. that point, she then urges, I think, Electra, who Clytemnestra doesn't realize Electra is part of his plot. She urges Electra to go fetch Aegisthus to tell him the news. And I think Electra ends up going to a nurse named Silissa, who was Orestes' nurse as a baby. And it's her job to go bring Aegisthus. She's very distraught hearing about Orestes' death. But Electra, I'm actually unsure if it's Electra or the chorus of women who are talking with Silissa, but I'll just refer to them as Electra. Electra basically tells the nurse not to be upset and actually to be excited or something like that. And the nurse Silissa is confused, why would I be excited? So Electra basically just tells her, don't worry about it. Just go get Aegisthus. And there's a couple of reasons why Electra wants Silissa to be in a good mood or not to be shaken up, because she wants Aegisthus to come solo without any bodyguards. So she's trying to get Silissa to not raise any alarms, basically. But she also hints to Silissa that Orestes isn't actually dead. So there's kind of a couple of reasons why she doesn't need to be upset. Anyway, she goes and gets Aegisthus, and he comes down from wherever he's hanging out at in the palace, and he's kind of also pretending to be upset about the death of Orestes. And I believe he goes to meet with Orestes, so to hear the news. And I guess they're in an enclosed room, and we don't actually see Orestes kill Aegisthus, but he can be heard screaming, like we hear a loud scream after the door closes or something. So Aegisthus is done. Orestes' plan works. He kills him. And then there's a follower of Aegisthus who realized what's happened and is heartbroken about it, and goes to try to get Clytemnestra to save her, but I guess the door is locked, so he can't get Clytemnestra. So then Orestes gets Clytemnestra. I'm a little confused about the spatial relationships of all these characters in this moment. I don't know what the house actually looks like, but I guess Clytemnestra, Aegisthus, and Orestes are in a separate room now than everyone else. And so then Clytemnestra is faced with Orestes for the first time, realizing that it's her son, and she basically says, "Oh no, my own treachery has come back to get me." and she causes Orestes to hesitate a little bit. She's like, "You would kill your mother? Aren't you afraid of a mother's curse?" And so Orestes he then confers with Pylades. He's like, "I don't know if I actually want to kill my own mother." But he ends up doing it. he ends up killing her. And then he opens the doors so everyone else can see them. And it's Clytemnestra and Aegisthus are both dead, and Orestes is there holding up the robe that she wrapped Agamemnon in when she killed him. So he's trying to show that karma has kind of come back to them and that they deserved it. Yeah, so all is well for a little bit, but then Orestes starts to see the furies coming after him. So I guess his mother's curse is already approaching him in the form of the furies. Maybe it's not a curse, maybe it's just they're seeking justice or something. But yeah, they immediately pretty much start to come after him, and he knows what's going on. He's not super dumb, so he flees basically. He leaves, he skips town. Even though no one else can see the furies, they're all kind of, I think, telling him that he's crazy, but he sees them and decides he can no longer stay in Argos and has to leave. So his time as king is very short-lived, and that's where the Libation Bearers ends. So the next and last part of this tragedy is the Eumenides, or the Furies. So I guess we'll see what happens to Orestes next. Yeah, a little bit difficult time recounting this one, but I'm just doing this to help solidify the knowledge in my own head. So take everything that I say with a grain of salt and read it yourself. But yeah, that's my understanding of the Libation Bearers, and maybe I'll make a video on some analysis of it, not just recounting. But I'm sweating like crazy right now, and it is too hot, so I'm gonna end it here.